Hello friends, welcome to this session on user-defined functions. It is important to note that if a function does not explicitly have a return statement, then it implicitly returns null. So we have discussed that we can create a user-defined functions with return and without return. So if a function is having no return statement, then that function is returning a implicit value as none. Actually, none is a special constant in Python that represents the absence of a value or null value. So whenever a function reaches the end without encountering any return statement, it effectively returns none. Another important point to note that if you try to perform any mathematical operation on none in Python, then it will return a type error. For example, if you try to add 5 into none, it will result a type error. And it's natural because you can't add any value to a null. So the answer is type error. So these are important points to note, that if a function is not having a return statement, then it will implicitly returns a none, which is a constant in Python, and it represents a null value. In order to explain this point in a better way, let us move to Spider interface to take an example. So here we have a simple function of addition of two numbers. We are taking two variables from the user. Then we are calling this addition function by passing these values. Here these will become the parameters. Then we are using return. And finally we are printing the value of sum here. Let us execute this code to see its output. So let's suppose first number is 3, second is 4, output is 7. Now at this point, let's make a change in the code. So instead of return, now let's have print. So now you can see that this is a function without any return. So what we discussed, that if a function is not having a return statement, then this function will be returning by default none. So in this case, we are calling the function in this way. The returned value of this function addition is stored in this sum variable. So can you tell me what value will be stored in this sum, and if you use print, which value will be printed? So as we discussed, this addition function is not returning any value, and implicitly it will return a none. So that none will stored in this sum, and when you use print sum, it will print none, while here the value of result will be printed. Let us execute this code to understand its output. So here first number is 2, second number is 3. You can see that the output is 5 and none. So it means here we are calling addition with 2 and 3. This value will be calculated, result is 5, so it is printed successfully. Then we come here and the returned value is stored in sum. Since there is no return, so implicitly it is returning none, which is stored in this sum variable. So when you print it, you will get none. Now let us extend this code a little bit further to understand this more deeply. Here I am adding a value into this sum variable. Now can you tell me what will happen if I execute this code? So when we execute this code, you know that first the execution start from main. The number will be taken from the users. We will call addition function. So let's suppose input is 2 and 3. It goes here. Operations will be performed. The result is 5. So it will be printed successfully. At this point, sum will have none because this function is not returning anything. At line number 17, we try to add 5 into none. If you try to perform mathematical operation on none or null value, it will throw a type error. So during the execution of line number 17, a type error will be raised. And actually line number 18 will not execute because type error is already raised at line number 17. But if you observe closely, there is no problem in the execution of line number 16. So this calling is perfect. It will print the value of result. The problem only occurs during the execution of line number 17. So if we execute the whole code it will first print the value of result and then it will raise type error. So my point is that this print result will be executed successfully. There is no problem up to this point. So the calling of addition function is perfect. The problem only occurred during the execution of 17, and at this point the type error will be raised. So let us execute this code to see its output. So here first number is 3, second number is 4. You can see that the output is this. So first of all, it is printing 7. So here we are calling addition, it is printing 7, perfectly fine. Then during the execution of this sum plus 5, because here sum is none, so you can see that at this point we are getting a type error, and it says that unsported operand, because here we try to perform plus with none type and int. So this sum is none type and 5 is int, which is not supported, so that's why a type error is raised. So I hope this makes sense to you, and with this we completed the discussion on function. And the important takeaway is that if function is not returning any value, by default implicitly it will return none, and no mathematical operation is allowed on none. In next video session we will be discussing about docstring. As we discussed in the first session on function, that and we mentioned that in the body of function we can specify docstring to mention the purpose of function, to provide the details about the parameter and the value returned by that function. So we will be discussing how to write docstring in our next session. Thanks for watching this video, and please join next session to understand more on docstring.